Vice President Mike Pence played a major role to restore order after the chaos erupted at the Capitol. Defense and administration officials say it was Pence who approved the order to deploy the National Guard, not the president himself. There are reports that the president ignored the first calls for the National Guard yesterday. CBS 4's Darius Johnson spoke to political analysts about the crucial role Mike Pence could play in the final 2 weeks of the Trump presidency.
Chilling images captured inside the solemn halls of the United States Capitol as it was breached for the first time since 1814, this time by pro-Trump supporters. The Capitol raided and ransacked until an all-clear was given that allowed Vice President Pence to move forward with the certification process.
I never second-guessed his loyalty to the Constitution, and he proved it again yesterday.
Vice President Pence showed that he puts principle over politics and party, and I think it shows that he has a lot of longevity left in his political future.
This after the president made no public appearance except for on social media, creating a critical moment for the VP.
That certification process is critical. It's necessary going forward for the country, and it was something that the vice president stood up and completed, a task that needed to be done to kind of usher in that closure and that next step for the American people.
Now many members of Congress are looking at the vice president and how he can navigate the next 14 days until inauguration.
This is a moment for him to demonstrate to the American people what that leadership is, to put principle over politics and to really kind of forge forward the end of the Donald Trump administration.
This is many in the Senate and House are now calling for the removal of the president by use of the 25th Amendment, Section 4.
It would take the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to activate this.
The amendment basically declares the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office.
I think there's a real question as to whether the president should continue at this point. He is responsible for an insurrection against the Capitol of the United States. Those are words I never dreamed I or anybody else would ever speak.
President Trump can object, which will require a 2/3 vote by Congress before Pence could take over. Congress then would have 21 days to vote, yet the transition of power is in 14 days.
I think for all intents and purposes, just be smarter to let lie what's happened and to move forward with other processes rather than trying to remove the president.
Reporting in Indianapolis, I'm Darius Johnson.